A chip is a potato and a bit of oil. That's the entire recipe. It's what your gran cooked, it's what the chip shop cooks, and it's the cheapest hot food in Britain. And yet the bag sitting in your freezer right now can carry a list of ingredients longer than your arm. One of the biggest names in that aisle built its whole reputation on a promise of 3 words: potatoes, sunflower oil, and nothing else. Turn over half of that same brand's range and you'll find the potato wrapped in a jacket of rice flour, maize starch, and paprika. One oven chip, the one millions of us reach for because it feels like the healthier choice, was already fried in oil before it ever reached your freezer. And you think you're choosing between a Canadian family, a great British institution, and a friendly Yorkshire aunt. There is no aunt. 2 of those 3 are the same company, floated on the New York Stock Exchange. That's not a guess. That's the freezer aisle. Chips should be the one thing they cannot get wrong. You can't improve on a potato, so they didn't try. They took it apart and sold you the pieces back dearer. Today, I'm counting down the 7 frozen chip brands to avoid and the 3 that are still, honestly, just potato. Here's what they're banking on you never turning the bag over to read. Number 7. The extra crispy chips. You know the ones. Chip shop style. Extra crispy. Crunchy on the outside, fluffy in the middle. The bag promises you the chippy at home, and here's how they actually deliver it. They don't give you a better potato, they give you a coated one. Pick up a bag of McCain home chips, or Aunt Bessie's home style, or Tesco's finest chunky oven chips, and read past the word potato. You'll find a batter. Rice flour, maize starch, modified tapioca starch, dextrin. On the Tesco finest bag, it's Maris Piper potato at 89%. And the rest is wheat flour, maize flour, rice flour and seasoning sprayed on to crunch. That crunch you're paying a premium for isn't the potato. It's a coat of batter, the same trick a cheap sausage roll pulls, wrapped around a chip. And here's the part almost nobody clocks. There's sugar in there, dextrose, a sugar, added to a savoury bag of chips. Not for taste. It's there because sugar caramelizes under heat, so a light dusting makes it a pale, part-cooked chip. Turn a rich golden brown in your oven and come out looking exactly like the photo on the front. You're not tasting it, you're seeing it. The Tesco French fries, the Aunt Bessie's home style, the chip shop style bags, sugar added to colour your dinner. So the extra crispy chip is a potato in a batter jacket, dusted with sugar to fake a proper fry. That's not a crispier chip. That's a chip in fancy dress. Quick one before we carry on. Everything this channel does runs on one thing: hyping the video. Hyping a video is the single strongest signal you can send YouTube to put this in front of more shoppers, so we really appreciate it. Number 6, the value French fries, the skinny fries, the cheapest bag in the freezer, the one you grab for the kids on a Tuesday because it's £1 and it fills them up. And it's the most engineered chip in the shop. Start with the oil. A decent frozen chip is fried in sunflower or rapeseed. Low in saturated fat, nothing to hide. Turn over a bag of bargain fries and the ingredient often just says vegetable oil. That vague little phrase can mean palm oil. The cheapest frying fat there is the one packed with saturated fat, the one torn out of cleared rainforest. When the consumer group choice lab-tested budget fries, the ones running on that vegetable oil blend, carry 2 to 3 times the saturated fat of the sunflower ones. Same shape, same price ticket, a completely different thing going into your body, hidden behind 2 words that tell you nothing. Then look at where the potato's even from. Britain grew its own chips for a century. Not anymore. As one wet harvest after another wrecked the crop, we started shipping them in. And in the year to August 2023, this country imported a record 825,000 tons of frozen potato products. Your Union flag freezer bag of British favourites can be a Belgian potato, fried in Belgium, frozen, and sailed across the channel to undercut the British farmer who used to grow it. The cheapest bag isn't the honest bag. It's the one where every corner's been cut and painted over. The good fat swapped for the fat that wrecks forests. The British potato swapped for the imported one. That's not value. That's a race to the bottom with a flag on the front. Number 5, the smiley faces. This one's for anyone with grandchildren. Potato smiles, waffles, alphabet shapes. The little faces that land on a plate at 4:30 with a splodge of beans. Here's what they leave out of the advert. Most of them aren't potato in the way you're picturing. They're reformed potato. A cut chip is a slice of a real potato. A potato smile isn't cut from anything, it's mashed. Potato reduced to flakes and granules, mixed back into a paste, seasoned, pushed through a mold into a shape, and fried. Read a bag of McCain smiles, potatoes at 85%, then dehydrated potato, mash, dried to a powder and built back up, and potato starch to bind it. It's reconstituted. Take a bird's eye potato waffle. 88% potato, which sounds honest until you notice that figure includes potato granules, and the whole thing is held together with a stabilizer called hydroxypropyl methyl cellulose, a cellulose gum that stops your reformed mash falling apart in the pan. Think about who that's aimed at. Not you. The most processed, most reconstituted, most propped up potato in the entire freezer is the one shaped like a smiling face and sold for the smallest, most trusting mouths in your house. The bag leans on a picture of a happy child. The ingredients read like a factory spec sheet. A potato smile isn't a potato with a face. It's mashed up flakes, glued with gum, and pressed into a grin, and it's pointed straight at your grandkids. That's not a children's potato. That's a paste that learned to smile. Number 4, the oven chip. This is the big one because it's the belief millions of us have carried for 30 years. You buy oven chips instead of a fryer full of oil because you think you're making the healthier choice. You think the whole difference is that these ones don't get fried. Here's the truth that's been sitting on the back of the bag the entire time. Your oven chips were already fried in oil before they ever reached your freezer. Every major frozen chip is par-fried at the factory, dropped into hot oil, cooked partway, then frozen mid-fry. Oven was never a promise it had never met a fryer. Oven is just the instruction for the second cook, the one you do. You're not choosing fried versus not fried. You're choosing to finish in your oven a chip that was already fried in a factory in oil you never saw. Now, and I'll be straight with you because that's the deal on this channel. A finished oven chip is still lower in fat than one deep fried in the chip shop. That part's real. The con isn't that they're secretly as greasy as the chippy. The con is the halo, the word oven, the picture of the healthy family, the whole pitch that this is the sensible, virtuous choice when the sensible choice already had a fryer in its past. And while you're back there, look at the serving size they've quietly built the friendly numbers on. The reassuring figures on the front, the calories, the fat, are worked out per 135 gram portion. A real plate of chips is nearer 300 grams, so the comforting number on the front is for roughly half the chips you're actually going to eat. Double it. That's your dinner. An oven chip isn't the chip that was never fried. It's the chip that was fried where you couldn't see it. That's not a health food. That's a fryer with better PR. Number 3, the posh chips. So you've had enough of all that and you decide to trade up. You reach past the value bag for the premium one. Gastro, home style, triple cooked, proper chip shop chips, £8-9 a kilo. Surely the dear one is the honest one. This is where the whole aisle turns upside down. Take the triple cooked premium bags, the ones that boast, right there on the pack, that they're cooked in beef dripping at the best part of £8 or £9 a kilo. 2 things. First, you're paying restaurant money for a bag of potato and rendered cow fat. Second, and nobody prints this on the front in big letters, a chip cooked in beef dripping is not vegetarian. In a freezer full of things every shopper assumes are just potato, the fancy triple cooked bag is the one you can't put in front of your veggie daughter-in-law or serve at a halal table. Lidl's Harvest Basket. Triple cooked beef dripping chips are exactly that. Read the bag. 90% potato, then beef dripping, sunflower oil, rice flour, dextrins, salt, spices, and dextrose. Coated, sugared, and cooked in beef fat. All in one premium bag that looks from the front like a plain sack of chips. That's the trick of the premium tier. You think you're paying more to escape the engineering. You're paying more to have it dressed up as artisan. The cheap bag cuts corners to hit a price. The dear one cuts different corners and charges you for the privilege. That's not a better chip. That's the same swap in a nicer coat. Number 2, McCain, the big one. The name that is for millions of British families simply what chips means. 1 in every 4 chips eaten on this planet is a McCain chip. It is the biggest frozen potato company on Earth, and here in Britain it is the market leader by a mile. And I'll give McCain its genuine due first because it's earned. It is the single largest buyer of British potatoes, taking around 1/5 of the entire national crop. When the potato in your chip is actually British, McCain is a big part of why. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'm here for the promise. Because McCain built its entire brand, decades of adverts, all that, it's all good warmth, on one beautiful idea that its chips are just potatoes and sunflower oil and nothing else. In a 2009 television advert, the voice said it outright, over pictures of rain and sunshine falling on a field. Potatoes and sunflower oil and nothing else. Viewers complained it was misleading. The advertising watchdog looked at it and let it stand, on the grounds that nobody would take the sunshine literally. But hold that promise. Nothing else against McCain's own freezer, because nothing else is true of exactly one corner of the range, the plainest oven chips. Walk along to the home chips, the crispy ones, the ones most families actually reach for, and nothing else becomes a batter of modified starches, rice flour, and colouring. Exactly like number 7. The promise is honest for the bag they show you in the advert, and quietly untrue for half the bags they sell you. And the sunflower oil itself? Pick up a bag of McCain's home chips today, and it isn't pure sunflower anymore. It's rapeseed and sunflower oils, in varying proportions. A cheaper blend the industry reached for when war in Ukraine choked off the world's sunflower supply in 2022 and never fully reached back from. The 3-word promise had quietly grown a 4th word and a footnote printed on the back where the promise itself never was. McCain can make an honest chip. It says so itself. It just decided the honest chip would be the loss leader on the bottom shelf and the dressed up one would be the hero. That's not... Nothing else. That's nothing else. Terms and conditions apply. Number 1, Aunt Bessie's and Bird's Eye. Picture the aisle the way the brands want you to see it. You've got McCain, the Canadian family firm. You've got Bird's Eye, Captain Bird's Eye, the Fish Fingers, a great British institution older than most of us. And you've got Aunt Bessie's, the warm Yorkshire aunt, roast potatoes like your nan made, a name that tastes of Sunday dinner. 3 companies, 3 characters, a proper choice. None of it is what it looks like. Start with Aunt Bessie. There is no Aunt Bessie. She was invented. A brand character dreamed up in 1995 to sell Yorkshire puddings. No aunt, no recipe passed down, no kitchen. A marketing device in an apron. Now, the ownership. Aunt Bessie's is no independent Yorkshire family firm. In 2018, it was bought for around £210 million by a company called Nomad Foods. And Nomad Foods also owns Bird's Eye, the great British institution and the fictional Yorkshire aunt. The 2 brands you would never think to connect are the same company. And Nomad itself is not a cosy food business at all. It's a frozen food vehicle assembled by 2 financiers, floated on the New York Stock Exchange, that went round Europe buying up the freezer brands your family has trusted for generations and running them from a share price. So, look again at that aisle. The friendly aunt and the sea captain answer to the same Wall Street owner. The Canadian family fries 1 in 4 of the chips on Earth. The choice you thought you were making between characters is a choice between labels. And behind the labels sits a tiny handful of enormous companies who worked out a long time ago that the cheapest crop in the shop could be coated, sugared, coloured, reformed, dressed up, and sold back to you at 4, 5, 8 times what the potato cost. Different mascots, same swap, every single time. That is the engine under this whole aisle. Not a scandal, not a recall, those you could boycott. This is quieter and bigger, an illusion of choice painted over the most concentrated freezer in the shop. You were never really choosing between them. You were choosing whose costume you liked best. There is no Aunt Bessie. There's only the potato. And the people who worked out exactly how much they could add to it before you'd think to turn the bag over. That's number 1. And it's why the 3 I'm about to send you back for matter far more than they should for something as daft as a chip. So, the three that are still, honestly, just potato. One umbrella on price before I start. These are what I found this week. They'll drift a few pence. The verdicts won't. First, the easy one, and it's a lovely two fingers to everything we've just been through. McCain's own naked oven chips. Same giant company. But this bag is 97% potato and 3% sunflower oil, and that's the whole list. No coating, no batter, no dextrose, no colour. The exact thing McCain's adverts always promised, sitting right there on the shelf, proving the point better than I ever could. They can make a clean chip whenever they choose to. This is them choosing to. Around £1.50 a bag in most of the big supermarkets. Buy that instead of the home chips beside it, and you've undone half this list in a single reach. Second, cheaper still, the plainest own-brand straight-cut oven chips in your shop. Not the fancy line. The basic bag on the bottom shelf, the one whose ingredients read potatoes, sunflower oil, salt, and nothing after it. Aldi and Lidl both do one for well under £1. It is, almost every time, the cheapest chip in the freezer and the most honest one. The same inversion we keep meeting. The bag with nothing to prove is the bag with nothing to hide. Third, and this one costs the least of all and beats the lot, skip the freezer. Buy a bag of loose Maris Pipers, the finest chipping potato there is, for pennies a portion. Cut them thick, chunky, never skinny, parboil them, toss them in a spoon of oil, roast them till they're gold. 20 minutes of effort, and as you tip that bag into the pan, you'll notice the one thing they spent millions teaching you to forget. There was never anything to add. Potatoes, a little oil. It was always that simple. They just needed you to believe it couldn't be. One last thing, for anyone with little ones. When any potato is cooked hot enough to brown, it forms a chemical called acrylamide, and the thinner, darker, and crispier the chip, the more of it there is. Animal studies rate it a probable carcinogen. In people, the evidence is far softer, and it's in home cooking too. The fix is free, and it's the government's own advice. Chunky, not skinny. Gold, not brown. The extra crispy was never the treat. That's the aisle. Turn one bag over, change one shop, and this was worth making. Tell me in the comments which aisle we should pull apart next. Your suggestions decide what we investigate. Subscribe if you want the next one, because we do this every week. Buy the bag with nothing to hide, back the growers and shops that keep it honest, and never settle for less than you and your family deserve.